Right, everyone, we're gonna open the meeting of the Housing Trust Fund Corporation. We have a quorum with Chairman Rubin present, Ms. Zucker, and Mr. Zemsky. Is there a motion to call to order the meeting of the members of the Housing Trust Fund Corporation? So moved. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. As items are presented to the board during today's meetings, these motions and seconds will be used unless specific items call for a different vote or unless any board member or director wishes to report his vote differently. First item before the board is an approval of the minutes of the meeting held on December 15th. If there are no comments on the minutes will be deemed approved. Any comments? No. No, then the minutes are deemed approved. Next is a resolution appointing the Vice President of Housing of the Office of Housing Preservation, Mr. Cologne.
Hi. Morning.
Hello.
I'm here to propose you appoint Marilyn Fleischman as a VP of the corporation. It says C memo in my notes here, so I'm gonna go with memo. Marilyn's currently Assistant Director of the Office of Asset Management. She's
excellent.
yeah, that's the real reason I'm here.
Board.
Just take a minute, if you have just a minute, just to sing
Sure.
Marilyn's praises and to let everyone know
Is she here or
the
something?
real.
She,
She's
I
humble.
believe she's in Hampton, where I can see them on the back television. We're
Okay.
trying to get the
Great.
front television.
But she's hearing at least? Hearing this?
I can't see if she's there.
Well, maybe I can enter it into the record.
Maraline's not with us right now.
She's not there, okay.
Sean is gonna relay this to her, I'm
Alright.
sure.
Now we gave her the shout out.
I
Yeah,
assume she's
Yeah.
aware of this.
Yeah, that Marilyn is the kind of supervisor that I aspire to be when I grow up. She's the most conscientious, just dogged, determined, intelligent manager, thoughtful managers that we have. And I didn't pick her, but I spoke with Rich McKernan, who kind of grew up here with Marilyn at the agency. And the one thing that he said, I said, Rich, what did you know? And he said, well, he started out by saying, well, no one is as determined as Joe Fryer was. And Joe Fryer was a director who actually mentored Marilyn. And the one thing that I can say is that if anyone is as dogged in the pursuit of the public interest and protecting the state's assets and public interest and the benefits of New York's housing residents, it's Marilyn Fleischman, and I put her forth with all the possible support that I can to you.
Terrific.
Right, are there any questions?
No, not at all.
Assuming the first and second previously entered, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. The motion is passed, the resolution is adopted. Next issue before the board is a motion authorizing the engagement of Cohen Moore for legal services. We are proposing to engage this firm as a sole source contract to represent the agency in connection with Section 8 potential litigation. Are there any questions? No questions.
This is the PBC, right?
This is the yeah. Assuming the first and second previously entered, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried and the resolution passed. Next is a resolution approving the amended procurement policies. Ms. Kim is here.
Hello.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Good morning. GOSTAR, the Governor's Office of Storm Recovery, has undertaken a revision of its procurement policies to reflect implementation of the new federal guidelines governing procurement, which is 2 CFR 200-317 through 326. And this replaces the old guidelines, which was 24 CFR 8536. The new federal standards went into effect in December of 2014. However, per the applicability provided by HUD, we were able to delay implementation of the new standards for 2 fiscal years. And so we invoked the 2-year delay, but to remain in compliance with the federal standards, which will go into effect April 1st of 2017, we had to now revise the policies. And in doing so, We also did an overhaul of the procurement policies and tried to streamline and clarify existing provisions. So just some high-level changes that were made with regards to the two CFR provisions include adding definition of time and materials contracts and then an emphasis on oversight, adding micro-purchase as a method of procurement, adding the requirement for procurement of recovered materials over $100,000. And there were some additional contract provisions that were added regarding debarment and suspension and also rights to inventions. One critical thing for us is that the new standards remove the requirement for performing a cost of price analysis in connection with every procurement, and so it's now only required for those exceeding $150,000. And with respect to changes regarding clarification and streamlining, we added definitions, clarified and consolidated permissible procurement methods, and also reorganized subsections. And so those basically sum up the changes we made in this version. So we respectfully request approval of the revised policies.
Does anyone have any questions?
No.
And assuming the first and second previously entered, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried and the resolution is passed. Next is a resolution authorizing an award under the New York Main Street Technical Assistance Program for the Village of Portchester. Mr. Liddell.
Good morning, members of the board. The Village of Portchester has requested $20,000 in New York Main Street Technical Assistance Funds to develop a new design guidelines and to prepare at least one full-scale rendering of a building facade in downtown Portchester. The estimated total project cost is $25,000, with $5,000 coming from the Village of Portchester itself. OCR seeks a recommendation and resolution to award a $20,000 New York Main Street TA grant and for the Village of Portchester. Happy to answer any questions.
No questions. Assuming the first and second previously entered, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried and the resolution is passed. Next is a resolution authorizing an award under the Community Development Block Grant Program for Small Business Assistance for Oneida County. Oneida, sorry.
Oneida.
Glasses and mispronunciation.
Okay.
Chris?
Good morning. Oneida County has requested $100,000 in New York State CDBG small business funds to assist Square One Coating Systems with renovation expenses needed in order to expand operations in their newly acquired facility located within the Oneida County Business Park. Square One is a contributor to the region's strong metals manufacturing sector and as a premier metal coating and finishing operation. This is small-scale specialized manufacturing, I think, which is the type of manufacturing that we're looking for in upstate New York. Fills a niche business, and one of its primary clients is Remington Firearms. The proposed total project cost of $572,200 will create four full-time
I feel like I
equivalent
just missed
jobs.
something. What? Wait, firearms what?
They're the purchaser of the metals.
Yeah,
Oh.
Remington is one of their clients, along with other specialty kind of industries that need specially coated laminated metal
Coated?
items.
I this was coding. It's
Coating.
Coat.
Coating.
Nice.
Anodized metals,
Gotcha.
sheens. Okay. We'll create 4 full-time jobs over 2 years. New York State CDBG funds will be used for the renovation expenses associated with the expansion of the facility. We are in at $25,000 per job, and each dollar in New York State CDBG funds will leverage an additional $4.72 in private investment. Be happy to take any other questions on this project, although I cannot go into the metallurgy aspect of what they do, but I can certainly get you that information if you like.
No
All
questions.
right, no questions.
No, I don't think so.
Assuming the first and second previously entered, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried and the resolution passed. Next is a resolution authorizing an award under the Rural and Community Investment Fund Program for Westview Hills. Mr. Fitzgerald.
Good morning. Before you for consideration is a CIF, Community Investment Fund award of up to $920,000 for the rehabilitation of a 24-unit building in Livonia, New York, Livingston County. Westview Hills is the name of the project. It's a 24-unit, 55-plus senior project that was originally constructed in 1988 using USDA Rural Development Section 515 program and one of the first low-income housing tax credit investments in the state. The scope will be primarily to replace an electric baseboard heating system with a high-efficiency system, as well as to make significant accessibility improvements to the project. The project is what we describe as a high-efficiency renovation. That means more than 90% of the total project cost is dedicated to hard cost renovation as opposed to acquisition and soft costs. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to take them at this time.
Excellent project. Great. I love the rural homes. It's great.
Any questions?
Nope.
No questions.
Then assuming the first and second previously entered, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried and the resolution is passed.
So are all the rest of these deals, I'm just looking at them, that we've already done in another context, HFA or whatever else?
I
So we
do
can
remember.
perhaps,
I think
Sunrise
once we get-
Acre, yes.
Right, just, we haven't done 8 and 9 and 10 before.
okay.
But,
Next is a resolution authorized, did we?
no, we haven't at HFA.
Next is a resolution authorizing an award under the home program for Sunrise Acres 3. Sean?
Thank you. We are recommending an increase in the home award to Sunrise Acres 3 in the town of Bound Bay, Franklin County. This project was originally awarded Housing Trust Fund and home dollars in spring of 2016. Subsequent to award, the project sponsor made clear their desire to market the units exclusively to members of the St. Regis Mohawk tribe. In response, the Office of Finance and Development asked the HCR's Fair and Equitable Housing Office for an opinion on whether that marketing scheme would violate any federal and or state laws and regulations. While FEHO, Fair Housing, did not offer an opinion on whether any state laws or regulations would be violated, they were able to get comfortable that under a federally assisted financing scheme, exclusively with home dollars, there was a specific carve-out allowing marketing to members, exclusively allowing marketing to members of a federally recognized tribe. As such, they recommended that we convert the project's financing to 100% home financing, and that's what this resolution does. It increases the home award and replaces the HTF award that was made in spring of 2016. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to take them.
Interesting. Why did they decide to do that? Just out of curiosity.
They identified the Native American Housing and Self-Determination Act, which specifically exempts federally recognized tribes from the non-discrimination requirements under federal fair housing laws and regulations. So because of that specific authorization under federal law, they felt comfortable saying that the marketing scheme being proposed was fully compliant with federal regulations.
Oh, no, I got that. I'm just wondering why the sponsor decided to market only to the tribe.
The project is located on tribal lands. I think the condition of the housing stock there is pretty deteriorated in many respects. I think there's very clearly a need.
Yeah, I'm sure. Okay, great.
No questions.
No questions? Then assuming the first and second previously entered, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Next is a resolution authorizing an award under the home program for Selena Crossings. Mr. Fitzgerald?
Thank you. We're requesting an increase of the home award to Selena Crossing. This is in the city of Syracuse, Onondaga County. Originally awarded through the unified funding process in spring of 2014 to Housing Visions Consultants. The project is now complete. However, over the course of construction, the project experienced very significant cost overruns of approximately $2.2 million, related primarily to site design changes required by the city of Syracuse. through a combination of additional resources that the project sponsor has been able to secure, including some Morgan Stanley settlement funds and invest funds from their tax credit investor, the funding gap has been narrowed to approximately $900,000. The project sponsor, Housing Visions, has submitted documentation showing that they are fully complying with our agency funding increase policy. And under that policy, we are able to recommend an increase in home award by $894,192. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to take them at this time.
No questions.
Yeah, I have a question. Has there been any history with the development partner of this type of unexpected cost issue and, coming back to HCR for modifications?
Yes. The group, Housing Visions Unlimited, based in Syracuse, has done, I think the count was 20-some projects with the agency over the past 20 years. Recently, they ran into a problem, however, with a project in the city of Albany called Sheridan Hollow. They had significant cost increases there. And so this would be the second project in the span of about 2 years that ran into significant cost increases. The group has been very honest about the management issues on their construction division that resulted in these cost increases reaching the scale that they did. They submitted a management plan for correcting these problems going forward. We are disappointed that this has occurred in these two projects, but the group is certainly taking it seriously, and the management plan says all the right things, and we are monitoring them closely. They currently have 3 awards with the agency that haven't started construction. We are going to be closely looking at those projects as they go through construction to make sure that the management plan that's been provided to the agency is being followed, and so that we don't have to come back here 2 years from now asking for additional funds.
And did they put any more equity in any of these projects where there are significant overruns?
Yes. Under the agency's funding increase policy, the project sponsors are required to contribute a portion of their developer fee, and where they are developer builders, the project sponsor also has to contribute a significant portion of their builder profit to the closing the gap. That's part of what has closed the gap from 2.2 million to the 900,000 or so that we are trying
Sean,
to solve.
Sean, what is the total development cost of the project now?
Total development cost, bear with me, is $16,788,000.
So
And
this is an increase.
one thing, this is an increase of about 2.2 million from the time of award. And I was pointing out to the staff around the table the long list of funding sources that the project sponsors had to cobble together to help close this gap. I think this is actually a record, 15 different funding sources going to cover that $16.8 million total project cost. So they've hustled. They certainly have acknowledged the fault is on them to a large degree. But I think they've demonstrated that you can make projects work by bringing in other sources to help close gaps and minimize the reliance on our resources.
I mean, Howard, you
Yeah.
go ahead.
No, I mean, it's sure, of course, it's great to bring other money to the table, especially if it's not yours.
Yeah, they, in addition to the contribution of the fee that they would have otherwise been entitled to, they also made an equity contribution of $180,000. So this is a not-for-profit group. We certainly don't like giving additional money to projects. We like them to proceed with what they proposed. And again, I think we are mindful that going forward, they're going to be on our watch list.
Yeah, I think there's an old expression, 3 strikes and you're out.
Yeah. Very, very, very much in agreement.
Yep. I mean, how we don't need to belabor it, but you're right to ask these questions. it's not uncommon that the reason the agency has a really detailed cost increase policy is because often costs do increase, particularly in this side of the house, because of the nature of this process where it's highly competitive. This is the uniform funding round. It's a very structured, highly competitive, deadline-oriented process where the applicants come in with estimates of what their costs. I mean, catch me if I'm wrong. They come in with estimates of what the projects are going to cost, but they haven't done all the sort of upfront work that you often see on the bond side of the house, which doesn't really cross your desk much, Howard. And so it's pretty common, I would say, that the costs fluctuate a lot, and not usually down, I guess, from where the project was approved at in the first place. And sometimes it's if it's a large fluctuation, like this one is a pretty large one, I've seen some others like this, obviously that's their bad. Sometimes it's simple things like, labor costs go up or material costs go up because that's just the way the market is. And we try to figure out whether we're gonna pay for that or they are. And then sometimes, I don't know, Sean, what was going on here, but the big issue is often NIMBY, which, inserts a year or two of delay or 3 of delay, which is money, and additional costs in terms of re-engineering and litigation and all that kind of stuff. I don't know, Sean, if that's any of this was, but.
I think this was just construction and the rehab of the units.
All right.
Yeah, there were some changes that occurred after a building permit was issued that were requested by the city of Syracuse, which drove a lot of the costs, and that's part of what our architect and engineering unit looked at in evaluating the funding increase. What happened? And they were comfortable with the explanation that was provided by the group that, in fact, a lot of the costs were driven by these changes requested by the city of Syracuse.
Okay. All right.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Are there any more questions? And assuming the first and second previously entered, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried and the resolution is passed. Next is a resolution extending authorization of award under the Rural and Urban Community Investment Fund Program for the Massachusetts Avenue Project. Mr. Fitzgerald.
Thank you. Finance and Development is requesting reauthorization of the $930,000 CIF award that was made to the Mass Avenue project in December of 2015. As you may recall, the HDFC resolutions that authorize funding for F&D's programs have a self-terminating provision that ceases the authorization after a year. This project encountered significant delays in securing the matching funds required under the CIF program. In this case, the funds were coming from the city of Buffalo. We've received documentation that those funds are now in place. And that the construction financing closing for this project is scheduled to occur middle of February, with a construction start date at the end of the month. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to take them.
No questions, then assuming the first and second previously entered, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried and the resolution is passed. Next is a resolution authorizing an award under the Supportive Housing Opportunity Program for Savannah Hill Apartments.
Hi, actually, this resolution and the following were just approved by HFA. They are two supportive housing projects seeking SHOP funds. The first in the amount of $379,000 and the second in the amount of $15.4 million. These are both integrated supportive housing projects in the Bronx. Do you want any more detail?
It occurred to me that before I asked that Howard Zemsky does not sit on the, wouldn't defer the three today, so if he's got, I think it's worth, if he has
Sure.
questions, obviously we'll answer those.
So Savannah Hall is in the Bronx. It is 73.
That's a borough in New York City, Howard.
73 units.
Do they play any baseball there?
No,
Only good baby.
not good yet, right?
And 73 units, 50 of which will be supportive housing units for people with mental illness. The remainder of the units will be all affordable, under 60% of AMI. The project's being undertaken by Lantern, and they're seeking $379,000 of SHOP funds. Project's leveraging substantial amount of funds from HHAP as well as OMH.
Are there any questions? And assuming the first and second previously entered, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried and the resolution is passed. Next is the resolution authorizing an award under the Supportive Housing Opportunity Program for Kingsbridge Heights Apartments.
So Kingsbridge is seeking $15.4 million of SHOP funds. This is demonstrates that these two projects demonstrate the difference in how we finance projects under the housing plan funds versus the previous way, getting debt service from OMH, which explains the much higher amount of funding from SHOP. The project is an integrated supportive housing project, but is also a really good community development project with a wide range of units, and a substantial portion of those units, 27 of the 136 new construction units, will be middle income. Projects being developed by B&B Supportive as well as L&M in a partnership with CUCS, who will be providing the supportive services for the 40 supportive housing units.
Are there any questions? Then assuming the first and second previously entered, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 The motion is carried and the resolution is passed. We'll take the next three items before the board as one vote. A resolution authorizing an award under the Supportive Housing Opportunity Program for Harbor Brook Riverview Apartments. A resolution authorizing awards under the Low-Income Housing Trust Fund Program for Seneca Fields Apartments and Freedom Commons. And a resolution authorizing an award under the Home Program for Malone Village. The Office of Finance and Development requested the board's approval for the awards for these three projects, which qualified for early awards under a multifamily capital program RFP. The awards are $2.79 million for Harbor Brook Riverview Apartments in Gettys under the Supportive Housing Opportunity Program, $2.2 million for Seneca Fields Apartments in Onondaga, and a $2.2 million for Freedom Commons in Syracuse under the Low Income Housing Trust Fund Program. I'm sorry, there are four projects and three resolutions.
Exactly.
Okay, that's
I think
what
one is
confused me.
only getting low-income housing tax credits,
And then we didn't need resolution. And $2.4 million for the Malone Village and Auburn under the Home Program. These projects have been designated as high readiness projects that advance state-specific housing goals, and accordingly, these projects have been subject to an accelerated application and review process. The awards are being recommended with an effective date of December 28, 2016. Is there a request for a further presentation on any of these items? Are there any questions? Assuming the first and second previously entered, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried and the resolution is passed. Thank you. Next, before the board is a resolution approving the secret documentation and classification and the environmental impact of Chemung Crossing, School 77 in Savannah Hill. This material has been presented to the board in their packet. Are there any questions?
Nope.
Okay. Then assuming the first and second previously entered, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried and the resolution is passed. Next before the board is an additional item that was added to your agenda, which is the allocation of $10 million to the Office of Mental Health. And I apologize, yeah.
Hi, this $10 million initiative is something that we've been talking about for quite some time, so we're very pleased to present it to the board. When the governor announced the goal of developing 6,000 supportive housing units, he put together the Empire State Supportive Housing Initiative, which is chaired by our colleague Moira Tashin from OMH. And we also did a substantial change in how projects are financed, with the capital really coming through HCR. Over time, in the past, OMH has administered a pre-development program of capital to help not-for-profit developers developing supportive housing to cover some of the pre-development costs prior to securing all their capital. And it has always been known through this initiative of the 6,000 units that is a program that needs to continue. And the mechanism to allow that to occur would be OMH to receive a portion of the $150 million of supportive housing funds through the MOU to keep the program going. The project will be administered as it has in the past by OMH, and it was referenced in the RFP for the Empire State Services and Operating Awards. They will administer the program on behalf of HTFC and distribute funds for projects that are incurring pre-development costs under their criteria. It is anticipated that at the time of construction closing, that pre-development funding will be repaid by the funding available in the real estate and returned to HTFC, although we do anticipate that this will be an ongoing program and will be coming to you in the future to keep it going when the $10 million has been utilized.
Are there any questions?
No, this is great. It's really I mean, we talked about this a lot. But this is a very valuable source of money for folks. Where's the money coming from?
This is the $150 million from the MOU. We call it SHOP money, but it's not SHOP. It's
Right.
Supportive Housing MOU money. We'll call it.
So it's going back to them effectively for their.
It's passing through HTFC to them because that's the mechanism, frankly,
Right.
where all of the housing plan money, even
Right.
the services and operating funds, actually technically will be passing through HTFC in some
There-
manner too.
So assuming the first and second previously entered, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. The motion is passed and the resolution is adopted. The remaining items are informational items and no board action is necessary. Presentations can be made at the request of the members. The first is the review of agreement for allocation of cost for website redesign. Number 18 is review of contract with Enhanced Business Systems for the accounting system automation services. Number 19 is review of authorized contracts by the Governor's Office of Storm Recovery. Number 20 is review of secret Concur summaries. Number 21, a review of secret Type 2 projects. Number 22, a review of the secret determinations by the Governor's Office of Storm Recovery. Are there any remaining questions or comments? Is there a motion to adjourn the board meeting?
I will look at
Is there a second? Okay, the
Second.
meeting is, thank you, Howard, the meeting is adjourned.
Thanks, Howard.
All right, thanks, folks.